Hey, today I want to share with you a metaphor, and I think it's quite magical. And it was told to me by my son, who was told it by his best friend. Well, a good friend. And it's just stayed with me for such a long time, as it stayed with him for such a long time. So if you'd like to hear it, have a listen after this.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Hey, just a little thought before you listen to this, because it is slightly hypnotic, I guess, because metaphors can be that way. Just make sure that you don't have anything to do, nothing to take your attention. You don't have any responsibilities. So you can just listen. Nothing else, just listen. And learn. So please do that. Make sure you're not doing anything like driving machinery or all that stuff. Nothing to take your attention. Okay? So now let's get on with the episode. Hey, I want to talk to you about a lovely metaphor that my younger son told me. And it was a metaphor that his friend told him while in trance. And in fact, I've used this metaphor for so many different times. In fact, I used it on my trainer's training last weekend, the certifying weekend I think I told you about. So what is this metaphor? Well, let's take a deep breath and just let that out nice and easy. And imagine you can see my friend, and they're on a boat, a little sailing boat, not a big one, and they're out in a lovely ocean, not too far away from the beach. Far enough out though, but not too far. And he's got a buddy because they're going diving. So they got all their gear, they got the masks, they check their air, check their weights, and everything is set. It's a lovely sky. You can feel the heat from the sun and the reflection of the sea. You know how the sea goes dark blue but with the white flashes, and those gentle waves were just lapping against the boat. Such a wonderful way to lap gently across that boat, and there was a gentle sway with that lapping with the waves. And it was just a nice moment as my friend and his friend, his buddy, sat with their backs to the sea on that edge of the boat, and then they gently just fell backwards into the water and began to swim down under the surface. They could look up, and as they looked up, they could see the hull of the boat. And you know how it happens. You see the light reflecting on the surface. And then they looked down and they carried on just swimming a little deeper. And in fact, it got to a point where my friend was about 20 meters, or maybe it's 20 feet, about 20 feet from the sandy bottom. And then as he went deeper, he got down to about 15 feet. And he just gently carried floating down. Just carried on floating down to 12 feet, to 10 feet away from the bottom. And then he just let himself float all the way down from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5, to 4, to 3, to 2, and then he was just there. And as he just rested gently on the bottom of the seabed, as it were, he could see this wonderful shoal of fish. It was enormous. And the strange thing about this shoal of fish was, and I'm sure you've seen it before, it was like they were swimming as one, moving across the ocean, and then it would turn to the left, and then turn to the right, and there was maybe a lag, but it was just as if it was just one unit, one whole thing, although it was made up of all those thousands of fish, all just making this wonderful shape in movement. And the light reflecting off the sides of those fish made it something quite magical as it moved. And the thing was, it was as if that shape, that shoal, with all the reflections, started to move towards him. And it was as if he was drawn towards that shoal of fish. And it was as if they were being magically pulled together, getting closer and closer to each other. And then it just happened. The shoal of fish just surrounded him, and he was part of that shoal. And what he said was he wasn't aware that if he moved, the fish moved. And when the fish moved, he moved. It was as if he was just as one with this wonderful moving shape. And he felt so safe, so secure here. He was connected in so many different ways. He just was just is, and it was just are, and was just being. And as he just experienced this wonderful feeling of and sense of being truly connected as one, he then began to float towards the surface, gently and easy, leaving. Well, he felt he was leaving, but he still felt connected to that shoal of fish who would continue that lovely dance, mesmerizing, connected, until he broke surface on the water. And he said he'd never seen such a bluer sky. And he got back onto his boat. And he said he just felt so light, so wonderful. And he just felt he just knew something more about himself. That connection. That when he moves, he moves. And when he moves, he moves. Being at one. In rhythm. Always connected. In that magical way, without knowing the how. Just knowing that he was. Now, isn't that a lovely story? Isn't that a lovely story? Hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what you got from it. I know what I get from it. But it's a metaphor. Or was it? I just hope it resonates with you and you. Hey, conscious, unconscious. And with that, it's time to swim or fly away with those seagulls. It's time to fly, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a little story with meaning. So thank you for indulging and taking time with me. Have more fun than you can stand. And enjoy the beauty of the world. See you next time, my friend. Bye-bye.